we went to Santee State Park earlier this summer. One of our, I guess you call it local.
Yeah, I was going to say sister park somewhere.
Yeah,
like
somewhat kind of local. It's just right down the road, about 45 minutes away for us. Santee State Park sits along the shores of Lake Marion. Lake Marion is part of what we locals around here refer to as the Santee Lakes. It was built by and it's managed by Santee Cooper Electrical Co-op, so hence Santee Lakes. It's mostly known for fishing. That's the thing that most people really like about Santee.
And boating. People go
boating.
just to boat. And
there are lots of catfish, striped bass, largemouth bass. The lake actually has hosted several bass fishing, national level bass fishing tournaments. So
and there's a yearly like father-son one too that I know they said the campground's really full during that, so probably a really fun time to go if you're into fishing.
Lots of boats. As you drive around the campground, lots of people there have brought their boats. Even though there's really not a great place to pull your boat up, there is the boat ramp so that you have access, and a dock right there so that you can put your boat in and out while you're staying at the campground.
Yeah, it's not the camp like some of the campgrounds we've been to where there's almost right at your site. Right. It's not really that, but there is a great, very active dock, pier situation that you can definitely do if you're a boater.
Yeah, there's two separate campgrounds at Santee. Cypress View is the one that's closest to the dock and the store and all the I guess you call it the amenities of the park.
The office, all that kind of stuff.
It's a paved the paved road with packed gravel, and I think there's a couple of the sites were paved. There's 48 sites there. I would say they're a little closer together than the other. Lake Shore is the second campground. That's where we stayed. Lake Shore is the second campground. That's where we stayed. Much more spacious there. Yeah. It's a good ways out. They're separated by a couple miles.
Yeah, I mean it's a long, like kind of around the back side, I would say, of the campground, because when you're at the camp, like when the office and the other stuff, the pier, there's also cabins, and we'll talk about that some more, and so other things, and the trails are that way.
Right.
And this is kind of an adjunct, but we had so much room there.
It was amazing how much space there was. Now, we went on a weekend that wasn't really busy, so there were a couple empty sites next to us.
Yeah, so we didn't have anybody like next to us, beside us, or behind us, and so that was the first time we had where the kids really could just roam and run, and we didn't feel like they were getting in people's stuff.
Exactly. Now, I will say that that campground probably could use a little love. The road over there was in pretty rough shape. There's no paved anything. It's a dirt road around through the campground. The sites are all dirt or grass. I think ours was mostly grass.
Yeah, pine straw. Lots of pine straw.
The bathhouse could use a little bit of attention. I had heard that they are planning on paving that road, but as of while we're filming this, I don't believe that has been done yet. So hopefully that will be coming soon, because it could use that little bit of attention.
But for space, if you're thinking about going, especially with us, with kids, I love to be able to have a little bit of room for them to roam and run, and then it was a little quieter so we could take some big walks and kind of check things out. And my daughter loves to just walk around and look at other campsites, and so. All
right, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of our site here at Santee State Park. We happen to be staying in Site 105. It's really far back from the lake. The lake is straight ahead. We reserved this spot just a week ago or so, and it's the summertime. It is hot here in Santee during the middle of the summer. So as you see, a lot of the sites that are back here in the back, further away from the water, were still available. One thing to note, when you get here to Santee, you don't need to check in with a ranger or ranger station. They already have your site noted with a little tag, and your hang tag for your vehicle is clipped right there next to that clip. Come around, look at the hookups. It's not full hookups here. We just have water and electric. The electric, there's just a 30 amp. There's not a 50 amp. And water, been good pressure. Very happy with the water hookups here. The site itself has been relatively flat. I think I had to use my levelers on the left side for maybe an inch. Not very much at all. The great thing that I like about this site is this open space. You see we're starting a fire there. We're gonna do s'mores here in just a little bit after dinner. But this nice big open space in between sites. Even if we had a neighbor, one neighbor is over there by that picnic table. One neighbor is way over there in the corner where that ring is upright. And this neighbor is also by that picnic table. So lots of open space for the kids to run. They were kicking the soccer ball around this morning after breakfast. So all in all, it's a really nice site. Lots of shade. We're pretty pleased with our setup here at Santee State Park.
That was perfect.
One other nice thing about that side is if you are a boater and you're a fisherman and are going to be bringing your boat, there's plenty of room for you to also have your boat and your car and your RV.
A lot of people that came in like Friday night and were fishing all day, like took their boat out on Saturday and were gone. And they pulled their boat right up next to the camper. So there's lots and lots of people that also had boats with RV. So there's a lot of room for that side of it.
Now, one of the other unique things about Santee are the cabins. The cabins they're not quite round, but they're
like octagons?
Octagonal, yeah, they're kind of octagonal. There's 20 of them there. 10 of them are actually built on docks over the water, which I don't think there's anywhere else in the state of South Carolina where you can stay in a cabin.
That is a unique feature to Santee. They're literally right on the water. It's like a dock that goes down, and it's private, really secure.
While we couldn't go into the cabins, we've heard that they're really pretty nice. One of the other things we did do while we were there, and we've got to give a shout out to them, is we went to Lone Star BBQ. As you get to the park from the interstate, you're going to drive right past Lone Star BBQ.
It's on State Park Road.
It's on State Park Road. You got to go check it out. Fortunately for us, they had just reopened after being shut down for COVID. It's a great barbecue buffet. The buildings are so unique. There's 4 old buildings. They've been gathered together by the owners, so they're not all from right there. They're from other parts around. I think one had been 20, 25 miles away was the furthest. They've been gathered together and connected into a way to make it into a really unique place.
From the outside, it almost looks like an old downtown, for old, it really looks like a spaghetti western type, like front for Hollywood, but they're real buildings.
There's also, not only was it barbecue, they had a little gift store in there.
They did some more gift shop, old-timey candy and old-timey gifts and things.
So there's those
general store type.
Yeah, bottled soft drinks that you can't really find very many places. Really, really kind of neat things like that. Usually on the weekends they have bluegrass music, but because of COVID, they weren't doing that.
We scaled back some, but we do need to go back. Just a Saturday would be fun. Yeah, the food is phenomenal. The staff is great. They're a great resource right there. You can take a night off from cooking and
right over to the
but we still took a night off, and the food is really, really good. And the kids had a great time. It's so unique and they were able to explore a little bit and walk around outside and stuff. It's just really pretty and unique place.
And ask about the history of the buildings. One of the buildings was actually in a movie, and I can't remember the whole story about it, but there was a painting on the side of the building that was in a movie. So while you're there, ask about the history of the buildings. A couple unique features, or one of the unique geographic features of Santee State Park is the sinkholes. There's limestone in the area, and as it erodes, it creates voids in the soil that lead to sinkholes. So there was a trail that we took. It was the Sinkhole Pond Trail.
Yep, and there was a giant sinkhole right before you went in. They're all cordoned off, like the big ones that you could, lose a kid or a dog in, were cordoned off. But you could, see down in them and see how the formation worked. But then obviously the one that we went on, there was a giant pond there.
Yeah, because the sinkhole had been there for so long, it had formed a pond. There were some people back there fishing, and
they swore there was a giant...
They said there was a huge alligator. We walked a little ways down and said, I'm not risking it.
We got kind of in the weeds, and I was like, if there is a giant alligator, maybe we shouldn't try to look for it.
I don't want to have to try to run backwards to get out of there.
To find a giant alligator.
The other trail that we took was the Limestone Nature Trail. It was kind of in between the two campgrounds, and one of the other fishing boat ramp kind of came around, and part of that was right along the water. That was kind of neat. And then we kind of ventured and came back up toward the road, and then looped back around to that parking area, near the parking area, and the playgrounds and some other stuff.
And that's where we found some geocaches at that park too. So there was a bunch. There was a ton. We only found a minute amount. One of the trails is a big connector trail, and so there were a lot of people on bikes and things too. It's relatively flat, so if you're not a mountain biker per se, but outdoor biker, that kind of arena, there was a bunch. But there was one, like I think every 100-some feet when you looked on the map. So you could have found a bunch. We found one that was marked relatively easy, but it was fun for the kids to go and do that.
There is an on-site guide service that will take you on a couple-hour boat ride into out in the lake. They go up into some of the swampy areas in order to look for birds, probably alligators, various different things. They also will rent you kayaks and canoes. So if you want to go explore yourself just a little bit out into some of the cypress swamps, you can do that.
There also wasn't really a place you could get in the water very easily. We did find one little sandy area that the kids could play in and kind of wade in a little bit. It is not really set up for swimming. On the lakeshore side where we were camping, there had been like stairs that weren't really there anymore, that we kind of looked at the water from, but most of it's rocky. They've erosion defense, I guess, put up the rocks on the side, and so even the sandy area was kind of murky.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't a swimming area per se.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't call it a swimming area.
Of doing a lot of swimming, you do a little bit, kind of splash around in the heat of the summer.
That might be a better one to do in the fall or winter when you're not planning to swim.
I would definitely say Santee State Park is set up for fishermen. If you are an avid fisherman, or even just a boater that just wants to go ride and spend a weekend on your boat and stay in a campground, I think Santee State Park is a pretty good one. I think
it's an outdoorsy one too. Like if you're a big hiker or biker, there's a lot of hikes. One of the trails, and we'll have to get the super details and put it in the description, but it was 6 or 7 miles. Like it was long enough that we didn't even try to venture.
Basically
and then there's a whole bunch of like in between, but we saw lots of people with bikes and that kind of stuff that they were on. So, make a good day trip too.
Yeah, we enjoyed Santee.
Check it out.